Differentiation skills required are the following: strong marketing abilities, product engineering. Let me summarize this by saying being creative and innovative, and telling the customer that you are still the best. Putting this idea in the customer that you are different, you are unique, and they have no choice but to come to you. Can you tell me one company that has done that in this country? Where people just, example, another one? Kenyan examples.
Strathmore University.
Strathmore University, in which way?
The way they attract students for their School of Business, they
Yes.
they created a perception out here in the market that
Yes.
graduates of Strathmore are the ones who really make it out here.
Perception. Did you hear that? Perception. Perception. And you know what? They are my competitors. And I know they are not even anywhere close to where we are in terms of leadership. But the perception is giving them everything. I was about to tell you another university that has really created a brand, and people don't know. But it has risen up. Your university, Mount Kenya, it's a university to be in now. They are dealing with the issue that used to be there of maybe the quality was not very good initially, but they are actually market leaders, even in terms of student numbers. And I know they are working very hard to make sure the quality remains. That's an example, a very good example. And this is what you need to go into the market where you're going. Remember, you need these skills. Later on, we have given the president the notes of the class, and he's going to circulate to all of us, including Professor Nels and the doctor, our doctor there. He's going to send to all of us. So you need this. But remember, you need to sustain your efforts over time. I don't know how to stress this. Whatever good things you start working on, don't behave like and this is a cultural problem, like the African, and I think Dr. Nels will agree with me. You know, we do so well, and after a short time, we relax. This battle is forever and ever. You don't relax. When you create your leadership, keep working on it. I think in Africa, we have a problem. In Kenya in particular, we grow things, and at some point, we relax. Instead of applying policies for elongating our experiences. That's the problem. And this is why you see a company coming into Kenya, becomes very successful. After about 2-3 years, Kenyans abandon it, they go to another place. I think Chachi will be speaking about this. And how they have sustained their companies here. Kenyans are very good at hit and run. Yeah? A new cafe comes, it is populated within a month, 2-3 months, after that they disappear. Because they don't sustain their efforts. Kenyans are not bad. They are just saying that the promise you are given isn't real. They run away to the next one. And where you go out, please remember, you need these skills. Differentiation opportunities are many, but there are organizational requirements. You need very strong coordination of the functions in your company. You need to really use incentives. You need to use amenities. You need to be able to use skilled personnel in sales and operations. Don't go out there if you are not prepared for that. It will be bad if you are not prepared. It won't work. You must sustain the effort throughout. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you cannot succeed. Are we going to agree we have to sustain the effort? Whatever little you start doing, please go full throttle to the end. And don't sleep thinking about innovation, creativity, stuff like that. This is what really gets you going. Advantages of differentiation strategy: when you put yourself into the mind of the customer, you reduce rivalry. Brian, during my time, when we wanted to take a girl out, we went and sang ourselves silly. I'm the best because of this. And I remember one story I was told by one young man. He went and found the girl and the mother, and he didn't know how to introduce himself. So the way to differentiate himself was to ask for water. I kept taking water and saying, water is very healthy, and he's looking at the girl and drinking, and they are communicating. I don't know how you have done it at your time, but the point is this: differentiate yourself by all means and you survive. That's the story. That's the moral of the story. Buyers are less sensitive to prices for effectively differentiated products. If you buy me in my mind, I'll buy whatever you are selling to me and I will not care about the price. That's the point. And I'm not trying to brag, but some children I have somewhere are struggling to convince me that whoever's a C320 is better than an S320. But what's the difference between these two Mercedes cars? Which is the best? They have created, I think in Kenya, we are creating the impression that this one is a better quality car. Out in the US where they are in the competing, it's actually by children who live there, 2 of them. And the point I'm giving is not to brag, but I'm just telling you, you must, if you decide to go for differentiation, make sure you create it so strongly in the mind of the customer that they cannot go elsewhere. In the strategy, we say going to bed with the customer. It is that serious. Go to bed with the customer. And if you can't go to the bed all the way, let the customer sit on your laps facing you. You know, this is what we say. Yeah. Don't just go there and assume. Make sure the customer feels like you are hugging them and kissing them. Yeah. That way you succeed. And you have to keep fighting. You have to keep fighting. Brand loyalty is hard for new entrants. Actually, if you create the brand, other people are going to find it very difficult to operate because the customer is a diehard. Let me give you a simple example. My phone lines are 2, Safaricom. And the Safaricom has become very, very expensive. Have you noticed how the money is going? Why are we still hanging there? And they are cheaper brands, but Safaricom has created a brand in my mind. I'm not moving. In fact, let me tell you, one of you was saying I have a very expensive phone, but it's not. Okay, it's not a bad phone, but this is a gift from Safaricom for spending a lot of money on calls. And this is not a cheap phone. But why am I spending so much money? And if there are cheaper options, and I need money to use into other things, brand loyalty. From day one, create loyalty that cannot be beaten by any other. You succeed. But differentiation has issues. You note that. There's always imitation by the Chinese firms, for example. Technological changes can easily wipe out their advantage because people have come up with better things. Cost differences between low cost and the differentiated business become too great for differentiation to hold brand loyalty. You need to be aware of that. For as long as you are aware of these things, then you can operate. Speed, we said is important. Just do everything with the speed and the quality. But the thing is, rapid response to customers. In fact, solve customers' problems quickly. But you know, there's this thing in Africa where we take time. I say saying there's no hurry is a problem. And we need to go with a new mindset because the African consumer is also changing. They want people to respond quickly. I say my things, I respond quickly. The customer is king, the customer is queen. Let's always remember this. That's why speed is important. But you also need to develop new products quickly, of new ways of distribution, or new ways of responding to the customer, new ways of pricing, new ways of doing everything in the market. So the customers can constantly think, oh, this company cares about me because they are changing every time for my sake. Think of how you can do that. And make your decisions quickly. Opportunities are many. These are the skills you need to be able to do that. I'm not going to keep on it for long because we have about 7 minutes. But here is what you need in order to be able to exercise speed. Organizational requirements are there. I've given the skills you need and also the organizational requirements and support that you need. And one of the key things here is to be close to the customer. Your people in sales and marketing must be very good. Empower the customer service personnel. They are the front people. Make sure they are empowered. Make sure they are always making the customer feel these guys are there for us every day. And you can use very inexpensive things and means to do that. And coordinate yourselves. And you succeed. these are the things about customers that you need to pay attention to. The responsiveness to the customer, development that is innovative, creative, improvements that are continuous. And I guess you need to apply the principles of Six Sigma, principles of TQM continuously for you to be able to survive in the market. In other words, be better than the competitors. Apply these simple principles to be better than the competitor, then there's speed in delivery. The worst thing is for customers to wait for your product to reach them because you are being very slow. That isn't good at all. Then information sharing and technology. Information is very important. You need information. Let me tell you where you are going to Zambia. There are people challenging Uchumi and other companies there from Zaire. And they have come up with the fakes. And they have reached the Kenyan market. They came here until a doctor raised an issue and then the government tried to downplay that. There was this product that the rural women were using in Kenya called Otisi. Those who are campers know that. What is Otisi? Rainbow. It was a cream women were using to bleach themselves. And it came from Congo. And that is a competitor to some of the detergents and oils and creams that are being sold in that market. And they are there. Another thing came, you remember this sachet, this little orange drink where one sachet could make a drum of very nice. Who remembers that? Some doctors said these were killers. These were deadly things. So you also need to know what substitutes for Uchumi, for example, in Zambia are there, and now the kind of damage they're likely to be doing. And you educate people about this. Information sharing. Speed-based strategy has a lot of advantages. Here they are. And you need to be aware of the advantages so that you can exploit them. Now, there are also risks. You need to be very careful before you start applying a response so that you can have quality. You need to understand the kind of market you're operating in. Now, market focus, our last thing here, of course the notes are more, is building cost differentiation or speed and advantages in a narrow market niche. And that is determined, as I said earlier, by the structure, conduct, and performance of the industry, and also the context of the country in terms of scale. Allow your firm to learn the customers and build organizational knowledge in order to be able to survive. These things must be taken care of. But there are risks. When you go to a segment, people are likely to follow you there. So make sure when you have the first mover advantage, you build that advantage properly. And the best example of this is Kenya. And I'll give you a very local example, just to see what we mean. Very local example. Some of you have invested in hammer mills in the village, isn't it? To create employment for people. Maybe some of you have done that. But what happens when you start a shop in the village? Your neighbor comes and starts a similar thing. You do a hammer mill, another one brings one there. And the market is so small. We have this tendency to replicate what somebody else has done. Somebody starts a matatu business, you also buy one. I mean, without really doing analysis. These are the risks. You attract competition. I want to say these things depend on these kinds of markets, and you need to have in mind the kind of market you're operating. Emerging markets are different. Industries that are transitioning to maturity are different. Mature industries are different. If I take the industry life cycle here, different stages: introduction, growth, maturity, decline. So, where is your industry? Determine what kind of industry you are going to be in, because industries differ. That's the industry life cycle. Industries differ, and you cannot apply strategies for emerging markets here, because it's an emerging industry that is growing. You cannot apply strategies that are relevant for this one at this point. Try to find out where the industry is. And you know, you cannot do that without information. Information, data. And that's what Dr. Lewis keeps saying. If you cannot interpret this data properly, you are doing a game that is useless. Please collect information, collect data, and then ensure you interpret it properly. If you cannot, you need to engage academia, and I told you about universities. People are willing to give free information. So why don't you locate them, buy them dinner? It's not completely free. Buy these professors dinner and they will give you all the information you need without even asking for it. But if you go to a bureaucrat for this, it will cost you 1,000,000 times more than it would cost you to talk to this professor or this other person. Ladies and gentlemen, a quick one, but we have done our time. And all you need is when you get the notes, please read them and start reflecting. What do they mean for us? Now, like I did yesterday, because I think the young man wants to go, I want to ask you to reflect for a minute on the key things that you picked from our discussion. Just look at your notes. Let me have 1 or 2, 3 people say this, and then we will finish so that we can go to the next session. Please reflect for a minute. Look through the come after so that we can finish the session. Sorry for the speed, it's just because of the timing, but I know I'm talking to experienced people, it has sunk in your mind. Some reflection. Yes, sir.
Mine is speed, Prof. It's critical in business. It gives a serious competitive advantage.
Yes.
If you hook customers on, it becomes harder to really go elsewhere. Safaricom really did this very cleverly.
Yeah.
They put us on their network. It is now so hard to get up because everybody you know is on that network.
Yeah.
And you just have to continue enjoying the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Another one?